Hey everyone, welcome back. Laure here, and I'm with Sheepy this time because it's gonna be your first game of the week right now. You guys are 2 and 4 in the standings at the moment. It's gonna be a pretty tense game if you want to stay in the playoff race. How did you prepare to go against Roccat today?
Since we had 2 weeks to prepare with Rift Royals in the middle, we took the days really seriously. We tried to make really sure that we don't have champion pool problems, because one of the bigger problems we saw in the previous week that we picked 2 weak lanes and then we just got snowballed over, and the losses we had were very dominating by the enemy team. So we don't want to repeat that, and so we took every day as seriously as we could, even though there were like some up and downs.
Well, my guess was with the recent changes in the meta and the crazy UOL style as we know it, is it favorizing you guys? Did you make some improvement through this meta?
I think that this meta is really hard to read from our side as well. Generally, before we had very crazy personalities on our team as well, who were really into picking like new stuff. We innovated so many picks, and for us right now it is a little bit different because we are having people that want to play very strict and controlled meta, and in our victories I think we see it as well, that we are playing very strong games. So I think right now, at the moment that we get the right champion pools, we will be very, very strong, but the new kind of picks are coming very, very infrequently, and I think the one who likes it the most is kind of Totoro, because he has kind of this aggressive, youthful spirit, and it's really nice to see.
Amazing. And you're gonna have a new player today. Neon is stepping in, and well, I know him in EU Masters, now he's in the team. What did you like about this player? How did he end up in UOL?
Well, we had the thought that we need a real substitute for this split as well, and we picked up Neon because after talking with him initially and seeing that he was before in Millennium, we thought that he could be a very strong player if he needs to play as well, and we had some complication as well with Samux where there were some foreseeable events where we might need to have a substitute. And from this point onwards, we started talking with Neon more. We integrated him as well. He came over to our gaming house, stayed with us for 2.5 weeks, and has been participating in scrims as well. So we feel quite confident with him. I think also he himself feels quite good. It's not the best that he had only 3 days to practice right now, but honestly, I think the guy is very talented, and if he has more coaching and his mentality becomes like the LCS standard, I really think he can be one of the stronger players. What would you say is his best quality right now? I think he's really strong on some champions, and mechanically especially. So if he gets if he gets a lead, and you will see like some points where he can really shine in team fights. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it happens in this game already. Looking forward to see it as well. Now sending over to Drakos for that game.
Thank you, Laure. Always interesting to hear from Sheepy. Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel Drakos, joined by the man returning to the caster desk, the moose on the loose.
Great bet, by the way.
Martin Deficio. I'll never live it down, at least until the end of this split.
I know, you kind of forget it most of the time, except for the caster intro. So I'm a little bit disappointed in you. However, great interview. Really cool to hear, especially about the new AD carry, of course, coming in Neon, who played, EU Masters, played a lot in France. There's a lot of footage. I think he looks like a solid AD carry, but I need to see him surprise me if I'm going to be like, wow, this guy's going to be #1.
And as we enter picks and bans, Sheepy talked about how good he is mechanically, and are they going to give him a champion where he can show off mechanically, or is he going to be on Morgana duty, Ziggs duty? Well, for now, Taliyah is the choice for bans here on the side of Roccat. Unicorns will
Prediction,
spawn as well.
Aatrox will be banned by Unicorns of Love at some point here on the red side.
You're so bold, so original.
See, if you're smart as a team, you spend the first 29 seconds just discussing everything, and then you just ban Aatrox at the end, and you fully use all the time properly. Nocturne is the other one that also will get removed most of the games. So Taliyah, Nocturne, Aatrox are some of the very, very standard ones.
Absolutely. Talon now following up, becoming a premier ban here in EU. We've seen the Smite mid Talon once now, but we've heard that it's pretty big terror in scrims as well as in solo queue.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you get really fed on this Talon here. You obviously, with the Smite, can take away your own Raptor camps, you can contest Rift Scuttler very well. It also is a fine choice against funnel comps, if that's something the enemy team wants to run. So I think Talon is going to be one of those picks where some of the teams in Europe can really utilize it, and other teams won't even touch it.
And Roccat doesn't even want to take the risk. Don't want to give anything over to Exileh. That is kind of a quintessential Exileh-style champion. Additionally, the Yasuo banned away, so Roccat clearly taking away some of the things they find more frustrating to play against. Now, Unicorns Love on the red side just feels like they had to ban what's OP. They don't get first pick, they just have to take some of this stuff off the table.
I think like Swain is one of the picks that will always be very contested and is so good to grab as a first pick if it is left open, just because you can flex it into multiple lanes, so that would be a fine choice for Roccat. But of course, they also like the Vladimir as one of the go-to picks for them if you look at the entire split. Memento on his side wants to play something where he can carry. Doesn't need to first pick it though, we'll have to talk about that one later. It is Zoe.
I think unsurprising, still an incredibly powerful mid laner just across the board. Blanc had a pretty solid performance against it when Roccat lost against Splice, and now Unicorns of Love,
go Swain,
they can take the Swain. They've got time, they've got 2 picks.
Alistar as well has become one of the power picks. A lot of reasons. Obviously, roaming supports is kind of the meta. You want to be able to go into the mid lane and really have some impact there together with Exileh, but also it synergizes so well with a lot of these mages and bruisers, because typically what you need is someone who can close the gap for you. That's the Alistar with the engage, and then my boy Swain can follow up if he
set
gets
up
picked.
the damage. Ziggs, Brand if you're getting freaky like the NALCS. Depends on what you want to bring to the table.
Brand is pretty overrated.
Yeah, well, I mean, so is NALCS, so it's tough.
Hey, does anyone really rate them high? Neon's Morgana!
The legend.
Famous pick.
So, Sheepy said, strong mechanical picks, good for Neon. Well, landing a binding, I guess, is mechanics, predictions, potentially. But Roccat now have a chance to respond to 2 support picks locked in. Maybe they want to take away some of the stuff that could set up a solid funnel for the Unicorns of Love, because these 2 picks are quintessential funnel picks when paired together.
When I see the early Morgana, that's typically what I think about funnel comps, because I think really a more aggressive dual lane would really suit the Alistar pick. I don't think Morgana Alistar is that special on their side, so we might see it. We have to remember Exileh doesn't have to take like an AD carry to funnel with. We have seen things like Echo already picked with Smite, where you don't necessarily give him all the farm, because you still have a jungler who's trying to be useful, but if he gets fed and gets ahead, the Black Shield's still valuable to save him. Mundo, blind. Darius, it could be a choice for WhiteKnight, but they are going full-on funnel, baby.
100% locking in the funnel already, confirming it's going to be there, securing the Kai'Sa before Roccat has the chance to ban anything away. Now, Roccat, interestingly enough, locking in their top side of the map completely, not even looking in the bottom lane, and I'm wondering what Unicorns of Love are going to prioritize here. Could Pyke make it to the ban list? Could some of these other comfort picks for Norskeren also get taken off the board? Or are they going to shut down some of those pushing bot laners?
Lucian could be another one they're looking at, because when you want to run the double support bot lane, we have seen some teams find success with Lucian, trying to win that lane, take down the early turret. There isn't really a lot of kill threat from the Morgana against that specific pick on the side here of Roccat. But also we have to see now the recon ban, which makes a lot of sense, because it is one of the best supports at engaging against a funnel comp. Generally though, if you're Roccat now, you have Mundo, which is slow, scaling on the top side, so you're not really going to hard win there. I'm really looking just at the Camille-Zoe combination to try and shut down this Kai'Sa in the mid lane.
And I like giving Memento a champion where he can make plays in the early game. This guy can get a lead started for Roccat. Can the team snowball it through? That's always a bit of a question.
There's the Lucian ban coming in. So Unicorns agree. Don't want to risk potentially losing the bottom lane to him. I think the other AD carries, none of them you have to fully fear. We have seen Varus being picked. You know, Prey just did it against Morgana specifically, and it was the same deal. Try and push in the lane, try and apply pressure to the turret, because funnel comps do not have a jungler. So you don't need to fear that. You can go for lanes where you can try and aim for push and kill. It is an option for Roccat. HeaQ, however, he also plays Ziggs and Heimer.
Wait a second here, Deficio. This is my question.
Oh my god.
Exileh still has cleanse.
He hasn't changed
Smite.
yet.
He has time to change. Could we see Neon in his first game on stage be the center of a Unicorns of Love funnel composition?
If we follow the summon spell logic, well, he's sitting with heal right now. So
Totoro's the funnel. I like where your head's at. Korean support. Got a min-max on that.
It's probably Jarvan top lane coming in against the Mundo. We saw Splice do this against Team Liquid. Very famous tower dive set up by Odoamne level 3. Missed everything, but anyway, the Jarvan in the end was fine. Typically with Jarvan though, once you get to the late game, you don't really want to trap the Mundo. That doesn't do anything for you. So I'm more looking at trying to trap the Zoe on the side, if it is going to be Jarvan top.
And now with the Vladimir locked in, we're seeing a lot of picks that I do love in the hands of Roccat players. Pyke as well, but Vladimir has been a key pick when Roccat go into the late game where they would normally struggle. Vladimir brings so much damage to the table that they can often win out on those team fights. Now that was in the hands of Prophet. HeaQ hasn't had as much success, hasn't looked quite as comfortable, but Norskeren on this Pyke is something that always excites me.
Yeah, and a pick that can actually be proactive against Funnel Comp. We might get Heimerdinger coming in for the bottom lane together with most likely the Morgana, and then I'm looking at the Alistar as the funnel guy next to Kai'Sa on the side of Unicorns Love. So Kold would then be the Alistar player, and then you have this Heimer Morgana kind of perma-push bot lane against the Vladimir, who doesn't have the greatest wave clear. Same thing with Pyke. So I think Unicorns Love can definitely control bottom side if they do just go Morgana and Heimer together.
Looking to set up that control, not looking to give opportunities for anyone to make plays. HeaQ might just be locked up under that tower. Could be a similar story for Norskeren. Roccat, standard composition, at least in this meta, Vladimir going bot. How are they playing this game? Because we've seen a funnel, we know how a funnel works, but what's Rockat's answer here to fight back?
Yeah, I think it's hard for Roccat to super hard win the side lanes unless Memento is extremely active in the early game. Zoe is one of the best picks against Funnel because she can actually hold the mid lane very effectively. And if you do land the bubble with a jungler there, you have kill pressure because you're not running cleanse on the Kai'Sa, and that's an important part to highlight when it comes to the early game where you're trying to shut down Funnel. So I'm mainly just looking at Memento. I need super proactive. Once Vladimir hits level 6 with Pyke, there is kill pressure bot, but before that, I don't think they can do a lot.
And the good news for Roccat is that is in their track record. Memento is the playmaker. He's the guy that makes stuff happen early. Have to see how he's going to do up against this composition, if he can shut down the funnel with confidence as we get ready for this game. We have to remember Roccat 3-3, Unicorns of Love 2-4. Roccat making the playoffs last season, Unicorns of Love just shy. And I think when we look at how these teams are playing right now, Deficio, we have to pretty much sum this up as a battle for two people looking to get into that top 6, looking to lock that spot as soon as they possibly can. We know they're not top 3 material yet, but they're trying to work their way up.
And I think it's important to highlight that this split, we don't have all 10 teams currently fighting for top 6 because we're starting to see a gap between 8 of the teams and then Giants and HK in the bottom. And that means you can't actually afford to drop games as the middle of the pack teams, because then very quickly playoffs is out of reach. Schalke just won. Earlier today, we also had Vitality winning another game. So if you start losing now as Unicorns of Love, sitting on 2 wins, that's going to get you really far away from the few guys who's actually pulling ahead in the top 6.
And even if you manage to make up those wins, if you manage to bring it back, losing games to Roccat or other teams that could be contesting you for those playoff spots is disastrous. We saw Misfits, despite beating top teams left and right, fall prey to that last season. Now, however, as we enter game, Roccat on the blue side, Unicorns of Love on the red. Funnel, well, versus not Funnel, a standard we're used to now in the EUOL LCS, but eyes on Memento here in the early game.
100%. Prophet is not going to get ahead on his own. I think the bottom lane, very early levels where Pyke is extremely strong, like level 1 and 2, they can try and go for a kill onto the Heimerdinger. Once you get past that, and especially once you get to 8 minutes, when the stopwatch is activated, all laning him is going to be difficult, and Unicorns is just all pushing on their side. So Norskeren might just look to leave the lane later on if he feels like there is no kill pressure for him, but mainly looking at how Unicorns are playing the level 1, because it's a big part of a funnel comp. You need to get a quick start for Exileh. Quick camp into a mid lane wave. You can't get delayed too much, so it's interesting. They're the ones invading. Typically you invade on the funnel comp, but not this time.
Neon caught out there. Bone Skewer going to delay this at least for now. Roccat actually 100% content giving up any lane XP just to make sure this funnel does not get started. Top laners left on their lonesome. They're getting ignored. That's the island we've come to expect, but the battle for red buff is crucial.
It's been a long one.
Reset.
Turrets are down.
We have to keep our eyes on who's going to get it. Binding does connect. Kold immediately goes in. The follow-up CC is there. Ignite fired back from Norskeren. Just wants to get a bit of damage. Kold pulled back to the middle of the team. That could be disastrous. Battlestar connects.
Flash.
Ignite. Might just go down here. First blood from Memento. Neon can he strike back along with Exileh. The flash just to make it out, along with the smite to heal. Blanc looking to fire back shots. The Battlestar connecting on the Unicorns of Love line. Ooh, Crimson Rush is going to be there. Now. Exileh's in trouble. Binding does manage to connect, but it does not hit Memento, which means he's alive for now. Exileh now running for his life. He does get level 2, but they're taking it back. Roccat may not get the red buff, but the level 1 going greatly in their favor.
They got the red buff in the end. Might even see more fighting. Norskeren looking for something. No, he gets binded. Okay. Everything about that play was bad from the Unicorns of Love. You have a funnel comp. You don't want to invade. You actually want to secure your own buff, and it's up to the enemy team to invade on you and try and make a play to delay you from taking the first buff instantly, so you can't just run straight to mid lane and push out the first wave. But Unicorns invaded themselves and said, hey, we want to be slower at everything. And then after they go for the flash play on Norskeren, they still stay around hoping for more. Notice this, binding into flash. This typically does not kill people because they can also still flash away. And now Kold is no summoner. That's first blood, and then they kill the Kai'Sa as well.
That's super disastrous, and now we see Exileh. Luckily for him, death timers have been shortened in the early game, so maybe just a more efficient back in this case if you want to look at it optimistically, but I think you can see the Unicorns' level of logic. You look at the level 1, you look at Alistar, you look at Morgana. Normally these are incredible level 1 champions, but they play for so long.
And you have the funnel comp. You don't need to force level 1. You actually want the slowest level 1 in the world, where nothing happens. Typically. Anyway, back in the game.
Unicorns love have a different interpretation here.
They do in this one. Exileh did manage to instantly run and kill his own red buff. He then went mid lane because no one was pushing it, obviously, after the initial fight where all 4 members from each team were sitting and fighting each other. So he is back and trying to now get ahead in experience. Of course, already given up 1 kill. And there was one play we highlighted on Rockat's side. The entire audience, they remember. You remember as well. His name was Memento. He's 2-0.
I think that's important, especially when you look at the jungle matchup between him and Kold, because these guys are so often the catalyst to make plays happen for their team. However, Kold is on the Alistar. He is a dog for Exileh this entire game.
Oh,
Things
he's
are a little
beaten
different.
dog in that mid lane. He's not allowed to do anything.
The Yankos experience, I think, is what we can call it at this point. But Memento still has the potential to make plays, still has the potential to roam. Now, Kold, in theory, can do that, but it's just definitely not the same.
Yeah, Kold now needs to decide if he wants to try and hold the mid lane wave once it gets pushed in for his AD carry here, or if he wants to try and contest Memento. Now, he's an Alistar, so he can't contest Memento. That's just how it works. He should have been holding mid lane wave instead. For Exileh, they managed to catch the wave now, but they did lose 1 or 2 CS before this. Luckily not the end of the world for them, but now you can see this fed Camille stealing away camps. Exileh is the one supposed to farming these camps, and now he's already lost the Raptor one. So Roccat has looked good here, but I kind of feel like the whole thing was gifted.
On a silver platter, Deficio, to be fair. And Unicorns love, I feel like they had a good idea in their head, but the execution may not have been there. And it may just have been unnecessary. You've already pointed that out. But for now, it's counting against them. We just saw the gold.
Moving on. We forgot.
We saw the gold moments ago. And you saw that Memento is currently ahead of Exileh. That's never how you want a funnel game to start. And it's terrifying because if Exileh's ever on his lonesome farming, once Memento hits level 6, Kai'Sa's not going to be able to do anything. Now, there is a Morgana, there's an Alistar. Those situations are probably rare, but if it does happen, you have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, the Morgana is not there at level 6. She's in the bottom lane doing her own thing. So it's going to be Kold and Exileh against Memento and Blanc. And that's the one that scares me with the amount of damage on Rockat's side and, of course, the lack of escape from Exileh. Let's see what happens with this potential invade. Norskeren will find Totoro.
Pulled back. Blast Cone is there, can knock it. Still knocked out. Binding does connect as well, so good escape so far from Totoro.
There's no flash from the level 1.
Ghost Water dive coming in. One more auto attack. Bone Skewer not available. Oh. Not able to close that one out, but good patience coming in.
And more importantly, they're contesting in the enemy jungle. They're trying to make sure that Exileh can't just freely walk around and farm. Sadly for them, no camps to steal. Almost picked up a kill. Totoro is forced back to base. Of course, gives a good recall as well for HeaQ down at the bottom lane. Let's see what happens with Kold here. Typically, the junglers that get to play supports still have some jungle habits where they want to be proactive even though they don't have to. So he might look for a play. Topside is where you have the Jarvan, which is one of the champs you can play around.
Or mid, nope. That's always the worst feeling in the world. I understand why that mechanic is in the game, but still does generate some of the worst moments. Burning cooldowns, trying to stop backs there, not going to happen. Kold for now, cleared out a little bit of vision, back to grouping up with Exileh, unfortunately not being the beneficiary of much experience. We'll get a little bit here, hopefully gets the cannon creep donated over to him.
Oh, yeah.
So guys, I don't know if you've earned it, buddy.
Yeah, that's
not sure. I mean, it doesn't cost me anything, but might take it away just to remind you who's in charge here.
I remember when Relic Shield got released and people didn't understand that you weren't actually stealing the CS from them, you were still giving it to them. They would like start pinging you and flaming you when you took the cannon.
Question mark ping is simultaneously the most efficient and most toxic thing that's ever been added to this game. Now, WhiteKnight could look to make a play in the mid lane, using some of that pressure he had on the top side. However, a little bit of hesitation there, not willing to dive Blanc. Of course, a level 6 Zoe with Flash available, a pretty hard target to lock down.
And right now, Roccat are allowing Unicorns to push out this mid lane because Memento just want to get level 6. Like, he's just trying to power farm his own creeps. He's not actually applying pressure on Unicorns. So Exileh got his chance to catch the Raptor camp. He got to push out his mid lane wave. Gonna be a while before he gets, of course, his upgrade jungle item plus a Rage Blade. So there's a large window now for Roccat where they don't need to be afraid of the Kai'Sa and they can actually look to force. Memento just wants that 6 so badly. Blanc, you can see in the mid lane, he's even in terms of experience compared to Exileh. And if you combine the CS of Memento plus Blanc compared to Kold and Exileh, well, Roccat is definitely ahead in this one.
Yeah, and it looks good. Sadly for them, the gold lead not maintaining at that 1,000, 1,200 mark.
Slightly late also on the red buff invade. Exileh did manage to get it. Nice little win for Unicorns.
Yeah, which is a little bit difficult. Now Blanc, let's see if he can get anything done. Starting to try to poke out, starting to try to threaten, so feeling a little bit more confident here. Heimer turrets still managed to connect. Well played by Norskeren to connect the Bone Skewer. Sadly, just meets him with some rockets in the face. Very difficult to get anything done in the spot lane.
Yeah, we talked about our Unicorns were like, listen, we just want a bot lane with no action, just only push. When you draft a Vladimir on the other side, that's where you're trying to aim a bit more for kill pressure, also with the Pyke. I think Norskeren wants to hit his level 6 before we might see it. Problem is now stopwatch is available, and that is the most annoying thing when you try and all in a Heimer, push down a massive turret, click stopwatch, and you just feel like you're getting outplayed.
Oh. Well, game has been paused. But as we go into the pause, we will give you more context. Looks like the pause is coming from HeaQ. We'll see as we go forward.
Was that a grenade animation he did? Or is he throwing a tennis ball?
Are you trying to... You know, there were people who will tell us why it's paused. You don't have to guess based on pantomime.
I don't know.
This time, he gave me 2 hands, and then he dropped his hands down like he meant Vladimir pool. Maybe came out early. That's what I'm. That's what I'm.
Grenade, and then the pool didn't do what he needed to do.
Ooh, it's like American football referees. You know what I'm saying? Like, just make a bunch of hand signals and say some stuff. We'll figure out what that stuff is shortly. Neon, new player on the team. I like what Sheepy's done with the draft. He gives him Heimer. Yes, there is definitely some skill involved with playing Heimer.
Definitely.
But in the early laning phase, you kind of just push. And I think if you're a new player on stage in the EU LCS for the first time, it's good to have a champion that just pushes.
Also very nice, you're playing a funnel comp where you're not the carry. So if your team lose, no one's going to blame you. No one's going to look towards him as the person who didn't do his job.
When the post-game Reddit thread comes out, if Unicorns lose, it's going to all be on Exileh. Now, that's kind of the standard for Unicorns sadly, he takes a lot of the blame.
It's true.
But that's how it goes. Now, we do have a replay. We can take a look at the level 1 fight one more time. We've already talked about this one, Deficio, but what do you actually... So I have a theory. I thought that maybe they're like, ooh, we have a strong level 1. What's your theory? Do you think there's any justifiable reason to go for a play like this?
I think they're probably like, hey, we can actually set Memento really far behind because we will invade. We don't think they're going to be ready to contest it. They're just going to surrender because we're 4 people. We instantly grab the red buff for Exileh. We go straight to mid, and then we go to our own red buff again, and we get 3 buffs on the side. I think that was the plan for Unicorns of Love. The problem is there was a ward up here at the top that spotted them walking in, so all 4 Roccat members reacted. And now, I think what Roccat is calling here is, guys, just stall. This is great. Like, they're the comp that needs to get this red buff instantly. We do have time. And I think just the big mistake, and this is something that happens a lot, is people flash for level 1 kills, which is so rarely worth it because, 1, you don't have a lot of damage, and the enemy guy does have flash as well to get away. Like, there's just not enough damage here to kill Norskeren, and now you're missing a key summoner.
And the other issue is the theoretical lead you get from a first blood wall. It is a big amount of gold. It doesn't amount to anything other than that little bit of gold because you're not in lane, you can't push towers, you can't take a greater objective. It's just a kill. Now that's a great start for Roccat to have, but for Unicorns of Love, you have to wonder how much value could this really have? Now we said Memento was the key, so that's a good argument, right? In the sense that if they shut down Memento, it's harder, but still feels, you know, just sloppy across the board.
I like just that Roccat played it super slow. Like they didn't rush into it and said like, hey, let's fight instantly. They actually waited, let Unicorns tank the red buff, and got the right moment, got the right engage. So they played it well. It really backfired for Unicorns of Love. Game is not over yet by any means.
Well, it's also 9 minutes in, so it would be startling.
In this meta, we have seen some games in 9 minutes.
That's true. Unicorns of Love could have kept coming back. Exileh could have died the first time and said, not today, sir. We'll fight for the blue buff too.
See, yeah, that would have been bad. I'm waiting for Memento, who's level 6 now, to walk mid lane, ult onto Exileh, and then Blanc kills him. If that happens, it's pretty much done.
I think the thing is that you have to be terrified of if you're Exileh is if at any point you get hit by a sleepy trouble bubble, you're probably dead. You're entirely reliant on Kold ulting and standing in front of you to body block Zoe damage or Camille damage to save you. And that is a terrifying prospect, especially when so much pressure is put on your shoulders as the subject of the funnel, as the primary carry for the team.
So we still don't know what the pause is all about. So I'm going to stick with the grenade thing.
Grenade thing. Do you have any further Actually, I probably shouldn't follow you down this rabbit hole, should I? Of guessing what it is.
You know, later on we start talking about the PC and how we're going to beat it up. We're going to bring up the old one. Yeah,
that's true. Okay, I've just been told we're reviewing reports of lag on HeaQ Norskeren. Now, they weren't NNA, so they don't have any problems with 60 ping. But, I don't know. We'll see what it goes, you know. Lagging on land, the classic.
They're really not very good at that. Is he trying to juggle?
Yeah. I mean, Memento's playing air drums, which you have to respect. I wonder what song's in his head.
It's the Euphoria song.
Probably. How does it go, Deficio? Do you want to you want to give us a... I mean, I was singing it before.
I'm really bad at singing these kind of songs.
Oh, yeah, because I did so good when I sang it.
Try.
Nope. Nope, we're not going to play Who Will Sing on Air.
I guess if you want to hear the song, you have to go find the Euphoria podcast.
That's true. Available on... I have a sheet in front of me. Hold on. YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You think I know that, but I every time I have to read it off a sheet.
Really?
It's true.
After so many
I keep
episodes?
Mixing it up with other platforms. It's just like whatever's in my head.
You know, every week, and I don't know if people are trolling us, but every week they ask, is it available on these other platforms? And most of them is just the app that actually takes from SoundCloud. So it is available on whatever app you have. Except for that last one, that Spotify guy. It haunts me every time.
We're in a war with Spotify, folks.
We need Roccat to help us.
Yeah, Roccat
they're on Spotify.
Good on Roccat.
They actually offered to help, and for some reason we didn't accept.
Best team in the LCS, right, guys?
Please, we want to get on Spotify.
Of course, we are still waiting for news. I've just seen that the players have logged in, relogged, so they are triaging. They're figuring out what to do, what the next steps are. So if you're just joining us, Unicorns of Love versus Roccat. We are 9 minutes into the game. We've had a pause for a few minutes now. 700 gold lead for the side of Roccat. Disastrous level 1.
Oh, baby.
From the Unicorns of Love.
That one hurt, for sure. Exileh, however, he's almost getting 200 CS here 9 minutes in. He is going to be the man who needs to carry the team, obviously with the Kai'Sa. There's a bit more damage. It's not 4 supports around him. There's a Jarvan top. There's a Heimerdinger bot lane. So it's not only the Kai'Sa in this game. And I think especially the Jarvan is going to be interesting. You pick him, you actually bring Engage on that side together with Kold. It's a lot of instant CC setup for Kai'Sa to use.
And Jarvan, something we saw from Splice at Rift Rivals in that game that they did manage to win against TL. It looked like a pretty good pick outside of that one dive that you already mentioned. But the
level 3 dive.
Heimer plus Jarvan plus Alistar. If the Kai'Sa can't do damage, at least you have this nice little wombo combo. Maybe pick off a single target if they're isolated. But you're also going up against a Zoe. So I imagine you're going to be the ones getting picked off more likely than making the picks.
Now, both me and Vedius, we decided to spend some time on trying to figure out Roccat this week, especially now we had Memento on the podcast. And the one thing we really noticed that always ends up happening when Roccat wins games is Memento gets ahead early because he's the one forcing all the plays. And everything they do is skirmish like as much as possible in the early game. And the fact he's 2-0, the fact he's hit level 6 means if that first ulti is successful, he completely takes over the game.
And now we have to see where that first ulti is going to go. We are now back in the game. 9 minutes and 24 seconds and ticking. This is not a replay. Memento looking to take away that blue buff. Oh, Exileh trapped under that mid lane tower. We'll see if he gets enough time to sneak over there. But with Blanc, you know, kind of raining hell from afar with those battle stars, don't think he's going to get the shot.
And that's what we talk about with Zoe being one of the good champions at holding mid with the long range poke onto the back line. Now Exileh is not allowed to go and contest his own buff. And you know your funnel comp is in trouble if you can't secure your own jungle camps. Blanc, he's not even done yet.
Yes, the wholesome interaction of running away from Zoe. We all know it well. It's a total joy, but for Blanc, it's incredibly important that he does land some of these Sleepy Trouble Bubbles, that he lands some of this damage, because there's a lot of pressure on him to make the picks, to try to shut Exileh down here when they do get into that point of the game where Exileh becomes a real threat. First item now completed on Exileh, 100 CS mark you talked about now, getting to that stage. Not a Rage Blade yet, but Kai'Sa already with some pretty good DPS if given the opportunity.
Oh, meanwhile, in the bottom lane now we see the supports roaming. HeaQ did just try and all in onto Neon here. Got him down to about 50% HP, so he's trying to take control on that side, and that's the thing about Vladimir. Once you get past those first few levels, your all-in is one of the best in the game. And that's a top lane turret dying at 10 minutes. Memento moving up here with Profit. And Unicorns of Love, they cannot afford to bleed turrets early, because then you're Funnel Comp cannot get any camps because you have no map control.
And they know that they've given up something on top side for free, so they're going to try to respond by moving to the bottom side. You saw Exileh and Kold making their way down. Not going to happen, though. So just a free tower given over to the side of Roccat, continuing to extend that gold lead. Looking very comfortable in this early game, but as we know, you play against Funnel, you're playing against a timer. Exileh will see what else he can get. Memento is hovering, waiting in the wings here once he clears this Raptor camp. Has the Hex Tech ultimatum. Have to keep our eyes on that cooldown.
Oh,
that's a sleepy Kai'Sa. Oh, Memento wants it. Kold trying to buy a bit of time. The Ignite does go down onto Exileh. He's ticking. Hookshot wall dive. Now trying to get a little bit more. Hex Tech ultimatum comes out. Can he take down Exileh through the exhaust? He manages to get it. Everything going south. Kold going to flash over the wall. Challenging Smite comes in. A beautiful skewer to bring Kold back. But WhiteKnight in the middle of everybody wants to get one for the team. But what are you doing, man? There's too many people there. Looks like WhiteKnight might go down as well. Blanc flashing out, a lot being used here just to chase this. Everything going wrong. Still a kill over to Roccat. In the end, that's actually 2. And, oh my god. Production, you're Memento, you're savage.
Not working this time, no, Memento. Roccat is actually beating a team with a sub, and it all because of that level 1 that gets Memento ahead. Then suddenly Exileh and Kold, they are behind. They feel like they have to make some risky plays, and they try to take a fight against the Zoe. And of course, Memento joins, and we said it. If that first ulti in the mid lane is successful from the Camille, then it should be almost impossible for Unicorns to actually get Exileh ahead in this game. And Blanc starts it off perfectly. He's setting up the fight 1v2. Kold wants to zone away the Camille and try and avoid, you know, her getting close. But Exileh ends up jumping in close to her. Then, of course, he gets ulted. No way out. That's a kill, and Kold will die as well eventually. So another big win for Roccat, and exactly how they want to play this game.
Absolutely the case. Binding does manage to connect on Zoe. She goes out. She comes right back. Soul Shackle's going in as well, but that's not good news. That's a sleepy Morgana. She gets deleted by Blanc. Roccat just continuing to extend this gold lead, and things already looking so terrifying for the side of Unicorns of Love.
And it's 100% kill participation for the 2 players around the mid lane on the side of Roccat here. Meanwhile, Kold and Exileh not been able to get the farm they were looking for, and also died twice each. Sadly for Totoro here, he actually tried to set up a kill for his carry. Ends up then getting taken down. So Unicorns of Love have fallen behind with the funnel comp. Will eventually lose all the outer turrets. And then all you can hope for is you get Rage Blade, and the following team fight around 20 minutes, you have to win it. If you lose that, everything is gone.
And something I now want to look at, Deficio, is kind of the support players in this game, because Totoro and Norskeren are both playmakers. You see their champion pools up until this game. Totoro playing that first Morgana game. It's looked okay for him, but you can see Norskeren when he's given a comfort pick like this Pyke, how confident he looks. 80% kill participation thus far, landing hooks left and right, except for that one at the tower that we don't talk about. But the rest of them hitting home.
And that's one of the things about this current meta, where a lot of bot lanes are just a lot about pushing. It enables roam supports to do well. And funnel comps, if you play against them, because again, there's no jungler, you're actually allowed to roam as a support very often. And that's what we see from Europe. They love this. A lot of our supports are big playmakers. We don't have these boring supports that only care about vision anymore, or just only plays Tahm Kench and devours the AD carry. We actually have young supports who wants to go forward, like Mickey, like Norskeren. Even Totoro is actually doing that normally. Not in this game here. Norskeren's Pyke. Looking for another play on top side, and
oh, WhiteKnight.
The Jarvan.
Flag and drag. The flash committed for profit. WhiteKnight, I don't think you can make it away from this, buddy. Wholesome, interactive champ, folks. Walk him down, making it look easy. And Totoro, that's a black shield, but it's not going to stop all that AD from coming in. Neon, though, looking for the grenade. Firing some shots over the wall. Does take him down. First kill for the rookie on stage, but fired back on the side of Roccat.
The best feeling in the game is when you play Heimerdinger and you land every single one of the empowered rockets. Take him down, but in the bottom lane, massive issue for Unicorns of Love. Good old Mundo. I was about to say Heimerdinger, but Mundo, if you don't shut him down early, he gets one item, and he tends to start beating you.
Just starts walking you down. But Kai'Sa has a lot of ways to shred health. Challenging Smite coming out as well. Prophet does not care. Exileh probably going to get the kill here, but very close. No ulti there along with the stopwatch. So a bit of a waste, but very close to getting the kill. Exileh knocks him down in the end, and that's pretty much exactly what Unicorns of Love would want in that exchange.
Yeah, best they could hope for. Meanwhile, mid lane, WhiteKnight and Totoro needs to defend the turret here for as long as possible. Blanc does not care at all. Missed that one, but in the end, the turret is low. Important though that Exileh gets that one kill, because that Rage Blade, it is definitely necessary. More than ever.
Absolutely, and a ton of pressure now on Exileh. You know, he, as a player, has had an up-and-down career, one really good split, a lot of lackluster splits, but attention is now on him. And there's always big questions as to how this guy actually ranks among the rest of the competition when it comes to mid laners. Sencux, though, put him in 3rd place. Yeah. I think we were surprised when we heard that on the podcast, but if he wants to step up and show us something, there are some good opportunities.
I mean, this is the game to do it for sure. Top lane here. Black Shield does, of course, stop anything from happening initially. Good stun, and then the greatest feeling in the world. Bam. And he got the shutdown goal.
That's a good look. Norskeren, of course, donating some extra gold over on the side of Pyke. And you can see, if you want more information on tier list, Memento also made a jungle tier list. You can find that out. YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. That's Euphoria Season 2, Episode 4, featuring us.
And a camera.
And a camera. Camera's important too. It's our friend.
Camera's important, man. Everyone asked for it, now they got it.
And a life-size cutout of Reckless, if that does it for you.
Is definitely necessary as well. All right, let's see what happens right now here. Memento did end up giving up extra gold to Neon. We have to remember with the bounties, certain things were added in the recent patch to kind of try and help teams that fell behind get back in the game. One of them was the death timers, of course, being reduced. We saw that in effect earlier in this game. And then the other one is the bounties, giving a lot of individual gold if you do manage to secure the kills. So the Heimerdinger is one of the guys we mentioned, could actually end up being super important in terms of just adding extra damage now that Exileh is behind. And Neon is in a decent spot.
And it's a good look for his first game. 1 kill thus far. Hasn't looked like a liability or a weakness for the team, and it looks justifiable. The Unicorns love who decided to put him in. And Roccat, though, total control of the bottom side. We're 17 minutes in. 4K gold lead in their favor. WhiteKnight going to do what he can to clear this, but a little bit difficult now for the side of Roccat.
Sucks he gets another charge in there. The thing with WhiteKnight is he can't win the 1v1 anymore. Jarvan in pure 1v1s against things that can just like stack armor like Mundo here, it's really hard for him to do a lot. So he needs to join the team and be the engaged with Kold to set up a play for Exileh. Obviously requires him to be able to actually push his lane and then move. Prophet is the one with control. That's why he's in the mid lane first, trying to siege on this turret. But will get defended for now. And Unicorns, they hold on to the mid lane turret.
Just barely, and buying time for Exileh. And Exileh just in time, getting that second item, clearing this top side. The gold, of course, important. The Rage Blade, though, even more important. That 2-item spike, critical for Exileh to be not the sole damage source, but the primary damage source for this team. He continues to farm on side. Is he going to get collapsed on here? Memento and HeaQ are in the area, but Kold is there to deny and cannot afford to underestimate that Kaisa damage.
So it was around river here. We might actually get a fight. Oh, Norskeren, quick reaction. Bubble also missing. Blanc. Nope. Didn't get that one either.
Want a little bit more. Scuttlecrab will get secured here. No Rift Herald, no greater objective. Tries to steal with the Bone Skewer. Not going to connect in the end.
Considering how bad the start was for Unicorns, they have now managed to slow down the game a little bit. You highlighted before, they got the Rage Blade. They're actually getting a little bit of control in the river. Got some deep vision to try and spot the potential roams from Norskeren and Memento. And that is effectively all they could ask for after such a bad start to the game.
And for Roccat, you know, we've seen this before where they get pretty big early game leads and they struggle to close it out. We saw it against Vitality, late game scaling, proved to be the victor as they moved into late game team fights in that game. But the mid game was definitely shaky. And if they have the same shaky mid game here against the Unicorns of Love, well, there's a Kaisa on the opposite side, and that is never a champion you want to get any more items under her belt.
They should have enough ways to force fights with Pyke and Camille on their side here. And I generally think, while there can be some teamfight issues, Rocket's Baron, when they're ahead, is pretty good. Like, the one thing Freddy really brought to the team when he became the head coach was just, like, control wards.
Yeah.
And when they have one side completely warded, it gets really hard to do anything as the enemy team. And they generally understand, once they get to the Baron, how to set up all that vision. And then you're forced to kind of run into an area where there's a Zoe poking you over the walls, and you might get hooked over by a Pyke. Like, it gets hard for Unicorns if Roccat gets the top lane control, and they're already setting up for it now, as you guys can see on the minimap with all the blue control wards. That's going to be one of the big ones for them to try and force a fight while Unicorns are still behind.
And given how much of an issue Baron has been for so many teams in Europe, it's good to see those fundamentals instilled in a lineup. Roccat keeping their talent this season, trying to show us that they can grow them into more. Very rarely do we see them keep a full 5 as an organization. Just to see exactly what they can show us in terms of growth and development. Prophet for now, though, quite happy to just keep developing this 1v1. WhiteKnight luckily has the flag and drag. He can keep running away, but he cannot stand his ground, Deficio. That is grim.
And again, it always means that Prophet gets to push first, and therefore also he gets to run to the mid lane first. While WhiteKnight has to stay and push out the wave and potentially is forced to TP in. And then if that cooldown is gone, then it gets really difficult to protect around Baron after. So it is a tricky situation. You can see on your minimap now, Prophet has used his advantage to go to the mid lane. This will force Unicorns of Love to step away from mid because they don't want to get collapsed on by the Mundo. And that, again, gives more control in the entire game here over to Roccat. So they are in a good spot. They're looking for an engage. Neon, no hourglasses yet, but there's a stopwatch ready. Meanwhile,
3 members there. They're now moving down to Prophet. Vladimir's all on his lonesome on the top side. Big source of that teamfight damage, but Unicorns of Love won't find the engage. 5k gold deficit, just about. But not insurmountable if they can make it far enough into the game. You can see the stopwatch coming out for Exileh. He's well aware that he needs a safety option, more defensive options here in this game. And Roccat are in complete control of Deficio, but haven't managed to get any greater advantages quite yet.
It's important to highlight because of the 3 carries on Unicorns and not 4 supports. They're all actually starving for farm. Ideally, you want to give it to Exileh. Let's see what happens, Spot.
Sleepy WhiteKnight, he flashes out, but it looks like it's just going to go right back down. Cataclysm tries to make it to safety, but you can't outrun the Hextech ultimatum. Roccat grabbing the pick on the bottom side. How can Unicorns respond?
And this whole thing is just set up very well. It all starts with them getting control of mid by Prophet moving in and then pushing mid first. And then they can go to the bottom lane knowing that Unicorns can't get anything in return because they've already pushed in the other lanes. And they get a kill plus a turret here. Great setup, slow and steady on the side of Roccat. And can now focus all the efforts on a Mountain Drake, which is going to be great for the potential Baron setup. And then they can actually secure the Baron and should be able to close out the game here fairly risk-free.
Absolutely the case. Of course, some options here for Unicorns of Love should they be able to find them, but it has not been the case thus far. And WhiteKnight just continues to be a glaring weakness. The Jarvan doesn't enable him a whole lot of comeback mechanics. He needs to be there for the team, but Prophet's making sure with this side lane pressure that he never gets to join the 5v5s, that it's so often about those 1v1s. And things right now for the Roccat lineup look incredibly good. 4-1-3 for Memento, 2-0-4 for Blanc. These guys are having incredible games.
Now we're just following a quick dragon take. Unicorns are not looking to fight because Exileh is on top side. And it's one of these games, as we highlighted before, where I feel like going into it, it's hard to fully predict who's going to win because Roccat is such an inconsistent team where one bad fight in the early game and then they fall behind and can't get back. But in this one, they never got the bad fight, so they have been in full control and they look like the better team based on of this game here. And they are the favorites to get into top 6 and secure a playoff spot once you go down a few weeks. Where Unicorns of Love, of course, last split, 10th place. Even though they actually played pretty well as the bottom team. This one here, potentially looking at a 2-5 score on their side.
Sleepy Alistar backing off.
Ooh,
Flash going to be burned. Real flash there from Blanc as well. So small advantage over there to the Unicorns of Love. But I think you're right, Deficio, in that both these teams have shown us really good performances and really bad performances. So it's always unsure which shade of Unicorns of Love or which shade of Roccat we're going to see on stage. Right now, Roccat looking in complete control. None of the mechanical missteps that we saw when they were playing the Kindred Camille lanes, when they were trying so hard to force these plays. It's a little bit more patient, a little bit more controlled this time around. Norskeren, though, still fishing for the hook. To make it out there. The Phantom Undertow, such an easy escape tool.
Starting to see some of the damage here. Memento is around.
Ready, hookshot, wall dive. The stun does connect immediately. Hextech ultimatum. Exileh trying to make his way out, but doesn't have an option yet. That's the power of the Vlad. Goes golden for a brief moment. Exileh, can he make it to safety? The flash out. Tries to buy a bit of time. Exileh not able to get anything more. Memento is there to make sure that Kaisa goes down. Neon does manage to go golden, but that's all she wrote, folks. Roccat are cleaning up the fight. Prophet's just going to walk him down. WhiteKnight able to get one back. Takes down the Pyke, but it's just a support. Has the flag and drag to make it to safety, but a beautiful fight from Roccat.
All right, so in the end, 4 members dying on Unicorn's side and 3 actually dying on the side of Roccat while they got the early kills. Once they actually continue chasing, Unicorns got something back, but sadly, they are still going to lose this turret here. It wasn't a fight around Baron specifically, but Roccat had the vision, they had the control, they knew, okay, Exileh and Kold have gone forward, we can actually engage behind them, and that's the thing about Camille here. It doesn't matter how much peel you have for Exileh, he's still stuck in this ulti that gives enough time for Roccat to get in and actually take him down, despite him dodging the original ult from Pyke. And now a lot of damage did get returned. Blanc dies from an ignite here. They're in this ult here from the Jarvan, and I think Unicorns, despite losing the fight, almost got the best they could hope for, because had they just been clean aced here, that was a Baron gone.
Absolutely, they only took down, or only 2 members left standing, so they only got the top lane tier 2, and you can see how much damage Neon was able to put out. WhiteKnight, despite us being critical, the Cataclysm connecting on so many members does buff up those damage numbers in the fight, and surprisingly, Memento, actually the #1 damage dealer, but just hitting home with those hook shots, with those wall dives, and really making his presence known.
And he got the massive second Q onto Exileh, getting him down to 50% instantly. Get another fight potentially around the river here. Prophet is bottling without TP. Unicorn should just engage.
Yeah, but Roccat, no. They smell it out. They know they do not have their top laner there. It's going to be all about the Baron. Unicorns of love. Can they burn it down? Memento with no flash, but he has the smite up and available. Prophet making his way over. A bit of a split call here from Roccat. No TP for the top laner means Unicorns of love have the advantage for now. Blanc throwing out a bit of damage. 5k and dropping is the health of the Baron. Memento, you madman, can you do it? 2k. He's going to need a little bit more. Can't do it. Neon getting it in the end. This is disaster for Roccat, but HeaQ trying to bring it back. Hits the Hemo Plague. Look at that damage. Vladimir, not enough. However, Exileh stands his ground and looks to fire back. Totoro wants to get something. HeaQ still alive. I cannot believe it. Exileh is the fight he needs, but Blanc says no, despite everything. Looking like it could go in the favor of the Unicorns of love. Blanc and the rest of Roccat stand and are counted. Oh, are you... Totoro.
Almost in the end, but man, Unicorns of love. That was the correct call. You're already down here. Prophet is in the bottom lane without TP. You had a 4v5. They tried to finish the Baron. They didn't get to turn and take an early team fight here, so Roccat managed to group as 5 and actually win the whole thing, but Unicorns secured the Baron. I think in the end, look to turn instantly. You need to get a quick fight. There's no flash on Blanc. Like, that's a kill for you if you get onto him. But I don't blame him for trying to finish the big objective and then run away.
And just totally crazy here when we look back on it, Deficio. Now, let's take a look back at that Baron fight brought to you by Acer Predator. We can talk about the moment where they should have turned, the moment where they could have found that opportunity to start a fight.
Yeah, because I think before Prophet joins, you have Alistar and Jarvan to try and jump out and lock down the backline of Roccat. But they go for the play of like, let's finish Baron, and that bought enough time for Prophet to join. So despite the early kill coming in against Memento, now the big tank here is here, and HeaQ, great flank on his side, getting into the backline of Unicorns, and actually made it almost impossible for Exileh to play the fight. He was effectively zoned out from the get-go, and he's the main damage dealer.
Yeah, whoever was in front of him didn't really get an opportunity to do exactly what he wanted to do. And you can see when Vladimir does that much upfront damage to Deficio, it's so easy for the Pyke and the Zoe to just start cleaning up kills left and right because no one has enough health to body block. And once you're low enough for that Pyke ult, there's not really a lot of options to get away.
Also, I think the Unicorns had all the focus on Memento. So they didn't see HeaQ actually sneak behind. I think he blast coned over. And then he suddenly shows up, like where you don't actually expect him to be. Bot lane here, Prophet is on his own.
Exileh might just try to run this one down. Probably going to try to run back and turn onto Exileh. Prophet is incredibly strong. There's a TP now coming in. Jarvan is here as well. Prophet knows that this is his signal to make his way out, but TP is there. Look at the Camille, look at the Zoe. More members looking for the reinforce here. Roccat know that they are strong. They are ready to take this fight. Sleepy Trouble connects under the Heimerdinger. That could be massive. Keep your eyes. Vladimir, where's he going to go? Does pull back now. Just a slow push down here for the side of Roccat. Prophet so incredibly strong at this point in the game. Unicorns of Love cannot even get a single kill on the back of that.
Exileh is not very far ahead of him, so the damage doesn't really apply. Don't think there was any healing reduction either coming in, actually hitting onto Prophet during his ulti. And then suddenly Mundo turns it around with the briefcase. Now it's all Roccat pressuring. Remember, there's no Baron, because it was obviously Unicorns who got it. So they don't have the empowered minions on their side. It's just a regular siege. But is with this Prophet dude in the bottom lane that just refuses to die.
And Zoe as well, looking to potentially set up picks. Norskeren with CC if it can connect. Only get one Black Shield to block it all out. So if something does manage to connect, it could be disaster for the Unicorns of Love lineup for now, however. Roccat can't really get any free autos down on these towers at this point in the game, so Unicorns of Love can hold strong.
To get a chance though, now to Exileh's bot lane, Camille, with her insane Q damage on it, should be able to take it down very quickly, but currently pushing out the top lane. We're kind of waiting to see if Unicorns get any sort of fight on their side. Flashes, all of them are available on the side of Roccat, so it's hard for WhiteKnight to lock someone down. Now Prophet gets to his turret. All three lanes getting pushed in. Feels like eventually a tower is going to die.
Definitely feels that way, and of course the 1-3-1 if Memento wants to go back top is terrifying. So hard to catch the Camille, impossible to kill the Mundo, Vlad, Pyke, Zoe. Just incredibly difficult champions to lock down if Unicorns of Love do get the confidence to engage. For now, though, that's the bot lane inhibitor tower dropping on the top side. Exileh is there. He could try to make his way back to the fight with the Killer Instinct, but doesn't want to burn it as an engage. So Roccat just get the free inhibitor, setting themselves up for the Baron when it does respawn. Deficio, this is kind of looking like just a little bit of a slower closeout. Unicorns Love kind of struggling to respond to the split pressure from Roccat.
I mean, Unicorns, they've been behind all game. It was Roccat who was supposed to get the Baron. It was Roccat who was supposed to have all the control. And that Baron maybe could have been 3 inhibs, and then suddenly the game would be completely over. So the only thing Unicorns managed to do by getting it was just delay Roccat from getting the entire base. And that does give you a chance of a comeback. It certainly does. Exileh is on 4 items at the moment. Wanted to get a Banshee, I think, just to try and block either, of course, long-range poke from Blanc or the initial engage coming in from Memento. Sadly, Banshee is one of those items where it feels okay when you build it and then you realize everything just procs it and then you just feel kind of meh running around with it.
You don't get to pick what spell you block. So maybe the Battle Star hits you first and you get hit by the Sleepy Trouble Bottle. There's really no right answer there. Both of those spells are bad for you to get hit by. So tries to at least block one, tries to get something back. AP going to be a good buy for him. Works well with the Nashers and the rest of the build.
Yeah, it makes sense why he builds it. It is one of the weaker items in the game just because you can't control the passive.
Yeah, it's a pretty big feels bad, man. If anything does manage to connect. And Roccat taking control of the top side. Baron, 1 minute and 30 seconds out. The bottom lane inhibitor will be down for this. And Prophet's TP is up. So they can keep mounting pressure across the lanes. And no information for the Unicorns of Love. Thank you, observers, for highlighting that. Keep your eyes on Norskeren. Where's the CC? Where's the pick? Blanc. Well, Sleepy Alistar not going to be enough to do anything. But still making the effort, still trying to find those opportunities.
And we have to just keep looking at what are potential targets for them if they do engage on the side of Unicorns. Like, Blanc seems like the obvious one. There's a stopwatch, but you can actually chain CC him with a Q flash from an Alistar, and then you can kill him very quickly. There's not a lot of peel on the side of Roccat. It's just a bunch of damage and a bunch of strong bruisers running at you. There's a GA on Memento, so that's not the greatest initial target. I think it has to almost be on the Zoe if they want to instantly try and win the fight. Because Prophet, he will not die very quick.
Memento, though, 50%. Unicorns of Love could look for an opportunity here, but they just do not have the confidence to go in. And, of course, it is an all-or-nothing gamble at this point. If they commit to a fight and lose, Roccat instantly end the game.
Yeah, and you might as well take the fight before you lose 3 inhibs. That's kind of always the thing. A lot of teams end up sitting back, watch all 3 inhibs die, and then they decide, okay, maybe we need to do something. This might be it.
Hook going to connect, puts Kold in the middle of the team. That's exactly what they want to get the fight started on the side of Unicorns of Love. But look at Exileh's health bar. Damage blocked out there by the Black Shield, but HeaQ kicking it off with that ultimate. Means that Roccat are just going to walk right in. Memento in the middle of everybody. Wants to get 1 kill down, but there's the Heimerdinger tower in the middle of the team. WhiteKnight running for his life. Memento is a madman. Ready to walk into that fountain. Exileh now running as well. He could just get taken down. Executed. Death from below. Roccat cleaning up this game just across the board. A beautiful performance. Unicorns of Love. They held on to hope for a brief moment, but in the end, it is Roccat who close it out. It is Roccat who play with their food, and Roccat who find the win.
And a lot of teams right now do not consider funnel comps very strong because you have to play them perfect if you want to actually win in a clean game. Worst possible start for a funnel comp is that your AD carry, the Kai'Sa, dies level 1 and gets set behind instantly. And that's what happened in this game. That's why Unicorns were behind all game long, because they invaded, they lost that invade. Memento got 2 early kills. His first ulti gave another kill in the mid lane, and it was this kind of setup where it should be impossible for Unicorns to get back unless they have 35 minutes of nothing. But because they did make the proactive play around Baron, they actually did delay the game a bit. But Roccat was always in control. And they were always supposed to win this game after level 1.
Roccat! Definitely the way the game played out. Now Unicorns of Love, they found a few of those moments. We talked about Deficio, the Baron. A few skirmishes where things looked okay for them, but the Mundo was a terror. They had no good answer. And just the amount of damage that came out of this Roccat, line up the amount of threats, just felt like there was no right choice for the Unicorns of Love. They finally get a fight started, but it's not on their terms, and everything just falls down.
Yeah, and you get one of those games where the Kai'Sa, who's supposed to get the farm and be super strong, never got to a point where she could properly fight. And Neon on the Heimer actually ended up dealing a lot more damage than Kai'Sa did in this game here, because obviously he actually did fine in the laning phase. He got a few good team fights on his side, and that's generally just not what you want to see in your funnel comp here. So it all backfired for the Unicorns of Love early. As you guys can see here, the full damage dealt to champions.
I feel like all 11k of that Vladimir damage was that one team fight.
We got into the Baron.
Yeah, we got into the Baron, just bam. Best turnaround Roccat could have hoped for. Now let's take a chance to look at some of the highlights from Roccat and their jungler, because it was just a beautiful game here, Deficio.
Yeah, and the big thing we mentioned in Champs League was we looked at Memento to be the one to shut this down. And He is on this Camille here who can always try and win the 2v2 skirmish mid. Kold tries to zone him, but in the end Exileh still gets close. And then he gets ulted, and there's no way to get out. So Memento did everything he was supposed to do in this game. Great game from him. And I want to say, I think funnel comps are too hard to play for certain teams. And I actually think going for a more standard teamfight comp is going to be the way to go. Because then if you make early mistakes, there's still a lot of ways to get back in the game. This one here was one of the best fights. Unicorns actually got great upgraded grenade here from the Heimerdinger into a bunch of damage from a Jarvan. But it's always felt like Roccat had a little bit more.
Just one member left, always. One full health member, Prophet in this case. Chose to ignore him most of the fights. I can't blame them. But he was always there in the end to clean it up, and just so hard to actually kill each and every member of Roccat. Memento himself. I think he definitely was a star performer in this game, but really it was Unicorns of Love when we look at them. That disastrous level 1 invade, putting themselves behind. You talked about Kai'Sa, needs items. Usually, funnel, Kai'Sa's like at least an item ahead of everybody. This time she was on par with most enemy champions.
Yeah, and if you combine CS between the jungler, Kold, and Exileh in this game, obviously Exileh is supposed to be really, really far ahead of the enemy counterpart. But if you combine the CS of Memento and Blanc, they were actually up like 50, 60 CS almost all game long. So the Kai'Sa just simply just never got ahead. She never got to fully snowball in the game.
Was definitely the case. Now we've got Memento, Blanc, and Norskeren fighting to secure player of the game. You can hit us up at LOL Esports on Twitter with your choice. Hard to decide for me, but of course we do have an interview. So while you guys think about it, let's hear about that win with Laure and Memento.
Thanks, Drakos, taking it over the stage here with Memento. Well, first win of the week, and I heard you have some fans in the audience here. How does it feel to win with your family present?
It feels really great because one of the main reasons why I became pro was because of the support my dad gave me, and he was the one who supported me to give me a chance to try to become pro. So I'm really happy about this win. It really means a lot to me.
And is it good for you to have such supporting parents? I mean, coming here to witness you winning in the studio?
Yeah, it's kind of sad because last time my brother came over here and we played versus Splice, and we got demolished, and it was kind of brutal, and I was really sad about that. So I'm really happy that we managed to win today, and it really made me motivated to try hard this week.
Awesome. Let's forget about last time. Now, more about the game today. You seemed really prepared about the level 1 invade. How did you react? I mean, unless vision, which was pretty well set, how do you prevent an invade like that?
I mean, we just looked at their comp and we realized that they could probably invade, but I think it's a huge mistake to invade as level 1, like just coin flipping the game. So I felt it was pretty obvious that they would invade with the Morgana and the... Wait, what other champions did they have? I can't remember. But anyways, a lot of people in scrims do the same. They invade level 1. So we just play them like really patiently. And we know that they're the ones who's on a timer. They have to go to mid lane. They have to farm up. They have to get the tempo. So we just played it really slow, and they ended up inting it in our red buff. So it was really nice of them.
And you had the edge in this situation. Now, last question for you guys. You're one of the only last team to not play funnel. Why do you stay away from this style?
I think you have to be a really good team if you want to play funnel, because you make one mistake and the game becomes kind of jeopardized. So I don't really feel like it's necessary for us to play it. If we're a smart team and we can play macro really well, then it doesn't really matter what kind of style you play. I don't think you become better at League of Legends by just playing funnel.
And do you think you can go through the split without playing funnel at all? I have other one trolling me behind, I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, I think it's not necessary to play funnel, but if we become like a really good team and that never makes mistakes, then I see funnel being really effective.
All right, well, it worked for you guys today, and you're climbing back up, so congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take a short break, and right after, two teams from Rift Rival will face each other. Splice against Fnatic. Don't go anywhere.
Get a bit of damage. Kold pulled back in the middle of the team. That could be disastrous. Battlestar connects. Flash. Ignite. Might just go down here. First blood from Memento.
Nice. Okay, nice. Good up.
Finding does manage to connect on Zoe. She goes out. She comes right back. Soul Shackle's going in as well, but that's not good news. That's a sleepy Morgana. She gets deleted by Blanc. Roccat making it look easy, and Totoro, that's a black shield, but it's not going to stop all that AD from coming in. Neon, though, looking for the grenade. Firing some shots over the wall. Does take him down. First kill. Memento is there to make sure that Kai'Sa goes down. Neon does manage to go golden, but that's all she wrote, folks. Roccat are cleaning up the fight. Prophet's just going to walk him down. HeaQ still alive. I cannot believe it. Exiles is the fight he needs, but Blanc says no, despite despite everything, looking like it could go in the favor of the Unicorns of Love. A beautiful performance, Unicorns of Love. They held on to hope for a brief moment, but in the end, it is Roccat who closed it out. It is Roccat who played with...